Hey folks, how are you?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm good. I'll turn my video on in a minute. I'm just getting settled and I know we're a couple minutes early. We've got all our little AIs are like, we're doing this. They're all in the chat. Oh, what's going on here? Ta-da. Ta-da. The meeting with Sarah. Oh, there's strange things happening in the chat. I don't understand what's going on. Oh, Andy, it's good to see Andy on the call. And Lindsay Ward. I haven't seen you in a minute either.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah, I know you guys are kind of slogging through some stuff. I've been seeing Sarah Akbari's on the call. Holy cats. Did you guys see on Instagram their like Klamath Grown's van tooling down the street for their holiday parade? That was the cutest stinking thing I've ever seen. It was really cute.
Thank you. I know. We were so excited.
It was, I don't know why, but it was the cutest thing ever. I think,
Did you
I
decorate
don't
with
know.
lights?
We did, yeah. So every year there's the Snowflake Parade, which is like a huge event here in Klamath. And we were like, wait, we should send our van down because now we have a van. And so we put lights on it. And it was really cute. Our driver, Jake, was super excited, and his son went with him in the van and was like so excited to be part of the parade. So it was really cute.
Oh,
I always want to do that here. We have these trucker light parades with like
Yes.
log trucks. I mean, I think
Yeah,
there are
there's
70
always
log trucks this year with
so many
lights all over.
trucks.
It's so Douglas County.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I'm like, I don't
Yes.
want to put a farm to school van in that.
you
Yes,
should
you
do it.
should.
It
You
was
should.
really cute. If you don't follow
Thank
everybody
you.
on Instagram, I recommend that you do because so
Yes,
much cute
definitely.
stuff happens that it's
Yes, I
almost
would love to follow.
unbearable.
I actually came off mute to just say that I love being in this group because I love seeing all
Oh,
your faces. It's like a little reunion every month when I get to join.
oh, it really kind of is. It really kind of is.
Like a little fan.
Well, wow, look at that animation that Christy has. I don't even know if I know how to do that. How do you make it do that?
I did it on accident once. I was in a meeting and it was just like, and I was like, oh no,
Yes,
oh
what
my
is
God, I'm
this?
so sorry. They're in the reaction field, but they're above reactions. It says send
Oh,
with effect.
oh, well, I'm gonna start
Static.
doing that. Oh yeah, super randomly.
They're
The things
so
we
over the
learn in the
top.
Food Hub Network meetings right here is very important. This is what is going to solve all of our food system problems in this country. Animations in our Zoom. So thank you for joining me for that. So for those of you who've not been on this call before, at the December call of the year, the last couple of years, we've used the time to um, introduce new folks. If there's new folks on the call that are new to us and haven't like spoken up much in the meetings, it's a great time to introduce yourself. For all of us, it's our opportunity to share what we did this year that we're really excited about and what we're looking at next year. And you know, if you it, I try to set it up with a positive note. I know that not every hub has had the very best year of their entire lives, and that's realistic and that's okay. So if you want to talk about that, that's okay too. But I do want to make sure that we're directing ourselves towards the future and thinking about what we're really going to do next year as well, even if that looks different than what you thought it might be. So, does anybody want to start by introducing themselves, where they're at, what their hub is, and what they're excited that they did this last year, what they accomplished, and what they're looking at next year? Don't everybody leap into the center of the room.
I'll start. I'll
Oh,
start.
Sandra, great. We'll do you and then we'll go to Lindsay.
So, I just bought a commercial kitchen in the middle of November. Um, and I've listed it on the food corridor, and I'm starting to put out the word to everybody and everything I know about that I am open for business. So I'm looking for other gluten-free chefs and other gluten-free businesses. This will be a dedicated gluten-free kitchen. There will be no gluten allowed in any form. And I just joined this group last month. Yeah, last month, I think. And so I'm brand new to the group. I'm so excited to meet all you guys. And by guys, I mean everybody. I lived in California for way too long, so sorry about that. And yeah, so I have another business called To Go Paleo, where I bake paleo breads and treats and sell them at the local farmers market. And now I'm going to get to work out of my kitchen, so I am my first customer.
Congratulations. I forget, Sandra, you told us where you're located in our last meeting and I can't remember, so I
Salem.
apologize.
I'm in Salem.
That's right. That's right. And you've been chatting a little bit. I think you and Erin have been chatting a little bit in the new shared kitchen subgroup that we've got
Yeah.
cooking. Well, welcome to the group. I'm glad you're here, and this
Thank
is a
you.
very friendly and informative and sharing group. So I'm glad that you can participate with us.
Thanks.
Lindsay.
First of all, congratulations. That's super exciting. I'm really happy for you. Yeah, so Food Roots is going through a big transitional time right now, where we're evaluating some of our programs, and kind of seeing, where we're at, what's actually doable within our staff capacity and within the funding we've received and the funding we haven't received. And so we are transitioning away from a direct to consumer marketplace, but this opens up the opportunity for us in 2025 to focus on some other programs that I'll talk about. But as far as accomplishments in 2024, let's see, we did a lot with figuring out where we are with ODA and where Food Roots is in the food hub world and functioning with farm direct farmers and within a marketplace. If anyone needs kind of some of those resources moving forward as they navigate different bills, I'm by no means an expert, but I've learned a lot. So I'm happy to help anyone that finds that they don't know really where they are within farm direct world and direct to consumer sales. I'm happy to help out anyone who has questions on that. Let's see, we've also learned a lot about our community and where we are in our different programming and what different people need, and we still have a lot to discover. But, we're in that discovery period right now and really looking to assess the vitality of our programs and really address community needs to see what we really should offer in our farm to school world, and what we really can offer farmers in terms of support that they are really looking for, and what we can really offer people in our community who are experiencing food insecurity and enabling them to access local healthy food direct from farmers. So we're looking to be doing all those programs in 2025, and we're really excited about that. And yeah, that's where we are.
That's a lot. Thanks for sharing that. I know you guys have just been really taking a look at everything and trying to figure out how to move forward. And that's not always the most fun time in an organization, but it can often lead to really important changes that are maybe where you were meant to be. So
yeah. Oh, and I should say I'll also be spending some less time in meetings and directly involved in programs moving forward, now that I am in a new role within Food Roots. So in this meeting, I'd also like to introduce Davi. She is a program manager with Food Roots and will be spending a bit more time in Food Hub world with everyone moving forward.
Hi, Davi. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Yeah, so, to reflect most of what Lindsay said, but also it's been really interesting for me getting to know local food producers. I've only been with Food Roots since April. And I am excited about the possibility of building programs that are both impactful and fundable, because I think that's been a struggle in the past for us.
I think, to that point about funding, we saw a moment where there was a lot of funding that showed up, post 2020. There was a recognition of all that happened and a recognition of the role that some of these organizations that are on this call play, and may not be flavor of the month right now. So there's just a little bit less funding out there. It's a lot more competitive. So I think one of the things that we as a group really need to do when we're building out our food hub operations, whatever we're doing, distributing food, online marketplaces, or whatever business entity we're organized under, whether we're a for-profit or nonprofit, we really probably need to start drilling down in how do we make these operations pay for themselves. And that's something that, as nonprofits, move, the for-profits have been doing this because they are literally cash in, cash out that week. But I think for the nonprofits, there's been a little bit of a runway, and I think that runway just ran out on a lot of us. So there's some work that we need to do as a group to figure out how to move food around and pay for it with the revenue that's coming from it. We're getting all these animations, the fun animations. So we'll do some work as a network on that this year. Super appreciated. Who's next? Don't make me start calling on people. I'll do it.
I can go. I was just reading. Thanks, Lindsay. I will definitely get in touch with you because I got in touch with someone who shall remain nameless at friggin' ODA, and she was just like, not my problem. Go talk to your person. So anyway, so a little chapped about that. But I had an amazing year. I was able to take advantage of being the flavor of the month, as Sydney put it. I got funding from the state that supported building on my infrastructure, which was the scrappiest imaginable. Still within the realm of food safety, but maybe. So now I have 2 awesome cool freezers and a walk-in cooler and a refrigerated van, and I look like a grown-up. And the Snap, so this year I rebranded. I just made a list for myself because I was going to work on a year newsletter. I rebranded. I became a benefit company. I have one of the only for-profits in the group. I got all this infrastructure, had to manage that project on top of everything, and launched a Fill Your Pantry event in November. And so this has been a really big year. And yeah, so that's all. I'm super grateful for all that, and looking forward to next year. I got to get a Tracy, I always wanted to call her something. Her last name is, I never want to give her the right last name, but thank you. We haven't seen the report yet, but she came out and did a site visit, so I'm really looking forward to that. Sydney, I think you're 100% correct that we need to look at our finances. I was able to, I run in the black, but I didn't pay myself last month because I got excited about the Fill Your Pantry and bought too much stuff. So I have a lot. Does anybody want some pulses? Please buy my lentils and my beans. And I had this cushion, this grant sitting in my bank account, which I knew I couldn't spend, but it was still there. So anyway, I got a little overzealous. So I'm working through that. But yeah, I think that is a focus for everybody next year, is looking at the numbers. And of course, Sarah Sullivan has always been good at this, but the rest of us maybe not so much.
Thank you. How was it? Because it was your first one. Was it really good?
The fill your pantry, yeah. I mean, for here, yes. I had
Mhm.
nothing to measure. You know, it's not a Eugene fill your pantry where they do $200,000 or some ridiculous amount. But I think I didn't clear. I grossed $6,000, which, you know, my average monthly is about that.
It's amazing.
And so it was huge, and it was just more than the money. It was a huge community builder. And we've
Mhm.
had conversations in this group before about, you know, how does the farmers market view you? Do they view you as an ally or a competition? And I purposely partnered with the farmers market and held it at a local nursery. So built a lot of social capital in addition to the money. And so yeah, we'll definitely do it again next year.
Chrissy, I'm really proud of you for what you've been able to do with that, with the relationship building with farmers market. I know that was when I met you, that was sort of a top of the mind relationship struggle that you had, and that you were able to do an event with them. What is it, 3 or 4 years later, is pretty phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sydney. I appreciate that. Yeah, it definitely it's been a conscious effort, and so I appreciate that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Christy, I just did all my emojis for you because I just discovered how you did that.
Isn't it fun? I really
awesome.
have to hold back because I would just be doing them constantly. It's
Sorry, I'm
dangerous.
12 also, and yay, emojis.
It's dangerous.
I want to hear more about Fill Your Pantry sometime. I wrote that in the chat, but our folks here think that since we have a year-round market, we don't need to do one of those. And I really want to, because not everyone's there year-round, and like farmers need to offload before they stop coming in the winter. But
yeah, we can chat. Also, I saw that you wanted to see vendor agreements, and I can hook you up with mine.
yeah, for sure. Well, I said I would go next, and I always feel like we don't have much food system stuff going on here, but we do. We are thinking about if it would be best, and maybe someone on this call has done this, but our farm to school organization is a nonprofit and our farmers market is not. And so we're interested in taking that on either as a fiscal sponsor or an acquisition, because it fits really well within our mission of the farm to school organization. So we're kind of working through that process right now. Just to expand the food hub work that we do too, and to partner more with the market and do like aftermarket, you know, bring your stuff to the food hub and we'll sell it throughout the week and market it more. And also like we've gotten an LFPA grant a couple times now. And so just expanding on that and buying produce at the end of the market and donating also. Oh, cool. And so that's one of the things we're working on. We also just got our equipment grant funds. And so that's really stressing me out because we have all this money. Like I have to shift it to a different account so it doesn't get spent. But also I'm like, we have a trailer. We're getting a truck, like a van with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are we ready for that? But we are, because we have all these people reaching out now about doing more food hub stuff. Like people at the coast want help with transportation from Roseburg and inland to the coast and vice versa. So it's like that really nervous turning point where kind of like an oh shit moment, like we have to do this now. But yeah, it's exciting. And there's some new spaces. We moved our farmers market downtown, and I'm the board president of the farmers market too. And so that's another reason why, like, I'm doing all the work for the farmers market unpaid. And so we're looking at, like, it's not sustainable like that. Anyone that's run a farmers market knows that they're not sustainable on their own. And so we're looking at RFSI. We're looking at, there's some spaces downtown that have been bought and they want to like do some things with those spaces that could really tie in with the food hub and the farmers market. And so, just like a lot of really exciting stuff going on here. And expanding our kitchen. Actually, that last call, the last food hub call with the Klatskanai farm collective, like their space is smaller than our commercial kitchen. And I've always been like, it's not big enough here, but looking at that layout and how like we had a walk-in cooler too on our RFSI. And I'm like, shoot, where are we going to put it? Because the school that we partnered with, we don't partner a whole lot with anymore. But I think it will work in our space. So just kind of lots of exciting stuff going on and movement and growth right now and into the upcoming year. And really excited to be hopping on these calls more regularly again. And potentially we are partnering more with the farmers market to like increase food hub work.
That's super fun. You always say, Erin, you're really funny because you're always like, we're not really a food hub. We're not really doing this. Blah blah blah. We're just not much. And like every time you talk, it's like, oh, and then you opened a commercial kitchen, and oh, now you've got a van, and oh, you're building a walk-in. Like it's kind of ridiculous. So maybe you should accept that you're actually a food hub. There's a reason you show up to these calls.
I just feel like so many people have, it's just different. You know, everyone has a different version of their food hub, and being on calls and listening to what other people have, you know, we're also farm to school. And so focus, like, yeah, I'm just gleaning a lot of info from these calls on how we can grow as a food hub, but I don't know.
Because you are a food hub.
Feel like you're, I mean, does anyone that's doing more than food hub feel like you're a legit food hub still or yet? I don't know.
I do think people get a little hung up on this idea of what a food hub is. And they're like, oh, there's this official definition, and I'm not allowed to use the word food hub if I don't fit this official definition. And can I just say that's BS? Like, you guys are moving food in various different ways, and it looks really different in each region. Each one of you are, some of you are doing online marketplaces, some of you are doing their shared kitchens. Some of you are doing like traditional distribution and delivery. Some of you are doing some processing and some classes and things like that. As far as I'm concerned, if you're moving around food that is produced locally and partnering with other values-based organizations, you're food hubbing, and you belong here, and you can use the word if you want to. Also, who's going to tell you no? Carrie, were you saying that you're the next one up to share who you are, what you're doing, and what went great, what you're looking at?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it was helpful to just spend a few minutes reflecting, listening to all of you, because looking back a year ago, we were ready to close our doors, and this year ended up being monumental as far as capacity growth and developing in so many different directions at once. It was a lot of projects to manage. But yeah, with so much support from OCFSN and Oregon Health Authority has been a lot of our support for, we hired our first staff. Chad's on this call with us too, our market and food access manager. And that has really taken a lot off of my plate operationally so that I could start doing more executive director work. And as a result, we have our first strategic planning that's been completed now with our board of directors, and we're documenting some written directions and guidelines, and we have our values done, and some of those things that we kind of skipped because we would just jumped right into operations. And we, so this was a really challenging year to take a step back and fill in all those blanks. but also keep all the operations running all season long and still look into the future and develop a 3-year plan, knowing that probably the next couple of years are going to be more challenging as far as obtaining financial support. So yeah, looking at finding avenues to increase our revenue streams that would replace some of that grant funding and start to generate our own revenue to support some of our programs was part of that strategic planning. So we also published our farm to school curriculum catalog. Many of you are aware we lost our OSU extension office, so we have no SNAP Ed, we have no small farm support Josephine County anymore. We don't have producer education. We lost all of that. We have no master gardeners, no master preservers. So the Farm Collective is being called upon in a big way to fill some of those gaps. And there's only so much Chad and I can do and still, keep our sanity. But yeah, we're starting to do monthly farm to school programming now. And that's in addition to our adult programming, so which was funded by OHA. And we've had some pretty good success working with the health clinics. So Siskiyou Community Health, All Care Health, and Oregon Health Authority. And then we ran a pilot project for the Rogue Community Health. And Chad did direct deliveries to 10 families who have no access to food. And feel free to chime in here, Chad. But yeah, he got to really serve the community in areas that were desperately in need of locally grown food. And then we launched some events this year too. We did a Boys and Girls Club. We did a kids farmers market at the Grants Pass Boys and Girls Club. I think they had 250 kids. There was a lot of heads bobbing around. And we did another one out in Kirby too. So not as big of an event, but they just loved getting their own shopping bag and shopping through our booth with their fake kids market bucks. And go ahead, Chad. What?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was amazing. It was an awesome. This whole year, I will introduce myself. My name's Chad. I have been kind of lurking. I have only come to a couple of these because this year's been so busy. I started at the end of June, and so this has all been like learning, basically picking up information, and coming to these has been really awesome. So I want to say thank you to everyone because the few that I've been to, I've been like gleaning a lot of information. So
we also transitioned to a new marketplace. So on top of all that, we migrated from Harvey to local food marketplace. And so our producers were learning and we were learning, and then Chad came on and I'm like, I don't know, we'll figure it out together. And now he's like the expert. So it's nice to start shifting some roles and have some, I guess it feels good not to be in it by myself anymore. So I'm really appreciative of all the support that comes from this group. And now it feels good to start contributing too, not to be taking so much. So now when I go to some community meetings, people want to hear from me. How did you do that? I'm like, oh, okay, I've walked that path. Now I can share my experience too. So it's nice to pay that forward.
I hope you all can hear how cool you all are. Like, as you're talking about your year and what you've done, like, there's no slouches in this room. And Carrie, to your point about feeling like you can be a contributor now, that's exactly the point of this group, is that we all show up and we share as openly and transparently as is feasible, and we help as much as feasible, and then we turn around and help each other again. That's the whole point of this group. So I really appreciate that you see yourself as a contributor now, and that you understand that you really are a part of this group. You're not showing up taking, you're showing up giving. And that's really cool that you've sort of grown into your role and grown your organization in such a way that you're really an important part of your community. That's really cool.
I'll pass the baton.
Who's
else.
next? Jim, your mic's off, so it's you.
Oh, it is?
Yep. You just got voluntold. You weren't here at the start of the call. Really what we're doing is introducing ourselves, saying where we are, and then talking a little bit about what we're proud of this last year and what we're looking forward to doing next year. And we typically do a version of this call in December every year.
Okay. I'm Jim King. I'm the executive director of the Central Coast Food Web, and we've been doing a lot. I don't know where to start, actually. I've only been here since July, but it feels like it's already been years because of how much has been accomplished and the people I've met, the meetings. I'm not a great fan of meetings, but I haven't had a bad meeting yet here. Everything is such a high level and such amazing people involved, and the visionary aspects of it is something that grabs me a lot. Speaking of which, I'm staring out the window of our conference room, but it seems like every once in a while I'm distracted because we've got between 60 and 70 mile per hour winds here. And I think that's why I couldn't get on earlier, because I tried. But it's a kick watching the whitecaps from the river go into the bay and then everything out to the ocean. But it's pretty crazy. This is about the closest I've come to sitting in a hurricane for many years. But we had a 40-foot Connex box just delivered and put down by a crane as I was sitting here going, okay, you're really going to do this now? And they did. It's a part of a new venture that we're a part of. We created a seawater system so that we could do R&D on dulse, kelp, urchins, crab, and more. It can also be a holding facility for crab when it's brought in. But we just added a section to it for the Uni Ranch peoples so that they can do some R&D with urchin, and in a sense raise or purge and feed the urchins so that we can sell the uni from here. Will be kind of like a retail outlet for them to a certain degree. But both systems will be used for having students come and learn how to use the systems, challenges on how we can use the system. So that's one of the exciting things. The other thing is we took our fish processing area, which was about maybe, I don't know, 15 feet by 5, somewhere along those numbers, and we tripled it. We tore everything out and put all the cold storage on one side of our room, and everything else on the other side is now processing, which will increase the ability to work with the fishers more. We just added a yak farmer to our online market. Let's see what other exciting things have been going on. We built staff. When I started, we had one. It was Kiara, who I think many of you may know. Then there were 2 of us, and now we're up to 4. It's really, it feels huge. So capacity building has been a big part of the last few months. We have also been awarded a couple of grants that were really, really cool. One was the Thriving Entrepreneurs Grant from Oregon Community Foundation, which will allow us to expand the number of fishers, farmers, and others that we work with. We also were awarded another grant through Roundhouse, which was an interestingly weird one, because we asked for a certain amount and they gave us twice what we asked for, which doesn't happen very often in this world. But I think it was because of what we're doing. We did a pilot project of bringing in fish from the hatchery, processing it, and then giving it to the food share, to the food bank. And they got like 1,200 plus meals out of it. And we wanted to keep doing it. We want to keep providing our our coastal communities with food, especially food from the ocean. It's hard enough to get local seafood from such a place as this, weirdly, but to be able to give it to people for their sustenance is something close to my heart and to everyone else's here. And I think that's what they saw in the grant. And so now, instead of 1 year of helping the food share, we will be doing it for 3 years. In addition to that, the grant also allows us to go bigger with seafood in schools, with the seafood butchery training programs, as well as literally fish to the schools. And let's see, what was the third part of this? Seafood butchery, food bank. I'm going blank, but there's more. At any rate, we were really kind of taken aback by their support and by what they gave us. We are going to, staff here is driven by this kind of stuff. So I feel like we're going to be doing more and more community related things like this, along with our real work, if you will, of giving fishers and farmers an alternative and to allow them to become more self-determinant. I don't know if there's much else, but it's an exciting place to be, and I'm glad that I'm a part of this as well. I love hearing your own stories and learning from you as well.
That's amazing, Jim. I think Chrissy, that was Chrissy that dropped that in, or Kristen dropped that in. I think I've sent this article around before that Kristen dropped into the chat. But it's pretty incredible. So if you have a chance, read it if you haven't already read it. Thanks for that.
By the way, that's another weird thing. It's like all of a sudden people know us. Today an article in the Oregonian just came out as well.
Wow, I'll look for that one too. Oh, so that was a different one than I had sent around. Anyway,
Yeah,
you guys are
probably that
amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you had two because you're so amazing.
Well,
That's an incredible amount of territory to cover in the last year, and I'm so happy for you that you got some funding to do some additional work. So congratulations.
Well, I've worked with you, Kristen, Marcus, Maggie, so many people that are the reason that this happened. And we are kind of cool here, but those people have made us cool. So, including you.
It's a cool room. It's a cool room.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with that.
Sarah or Kirsten, which one of you wants to go next?
I can go.
All right.
So my name is Sarah Akbari, and I work with Klamath Grown, which is a food hub in Klamath Falls. And yeah, we've actually had a lot that's happened this year. One big thing for me personally was I was a rare AmeriCorps with Klamath Grown for 2 years. And then I just started as the market and communications manager in September. So that was really exciting that I was able to be hired on. That was great. And yeah, it's just been we started the year by getting a refrigerated delivery van, which was really exciting. So that meant that we could start expanding wholesale and doing that locally. So we're working with the local hospital to get them items for their grab and go and hopefully moving into the cafeteria. We're doing also a lot of farm to school as well. And then we've also been able to add 2 new local pickup sites. So we have our normal pickup site at our location, but then we also have now a pickup site at the Running Y Resort for people that live out there, as well as at Sky Lakes Medical Center, which is a hospital. So a lot of the employees that want to purchase local food, they just get it delivered to their place of work, which is really cool. And our delivery driver, Jake, is awesome. And he's been doing the local deliveries, as well as when we've also been able to now grow our regional connections too. So we now do occasional pickups in Bend, and we also do about every other week, we do pickups in the Rogue Valley. So we've added a lot of really cool items like milk and cheese that people have been really excited about. We have olives, we have cured meat and just a lot of things that people are really stoked about. So that's been really cool. And we also, this was our first year of the Harvest Box program. So that was a kind of like a CSA box, but we had multiple producers in each box that would contribute something each week. And we were able to get funding to do some of the boxes for to go to 2 local nonprofits and the families that they serve. And then we sold 10 of the boxes to our customers. And that was really cool. So is it, okay, someone might hear me. But yeah, so that was really, really exciting. And Delaney, who's our program manager, program coordinator, she managed that program, and that was a big success. We sold out of the customer boxes within like just a few hours. So it's cool to see that there's a lot of need and people that are wanting more fresh produce, and we're excited to do those again this next year in the summer. And we're just kind of in the process right now of trying to figure out how many boxes we can do for customers and how many we can do if we're able to get more funding to do some, because it was really, really cool to be able to give them to people who are in need and to, you know, just kind of give more, increase the access to fresh produce in the area. So we're kind of trying to figure that out right now. And then also it'll just be dependent on how much space we have. So that's kind of been a big struggle for us right now, is kind of just that we have limited physical space where we are. Luckily we have the van, which provides some extra refrigerated space, but we're just growing a lot. And just in the last year, I just did like we had a board meeting where I shared kind of like a review of the market over the last year, and we've just had a lot of growth, which is really exciting, but it also means that we need more refrigeration and we need more storage and we need more space. But yeah, people are really excited about what we're doing in the community, and we have a lot of things coming up in 2025 that we're really excited about. So yeah, it's been really inspiring to be part of this group, and just, you know, being able to collaborate with other hubs near us and around the area. So yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks, Sarah. That's, I mean, every single one of you have done so much in this year, and congrats on getting employed by Klamath Grown beyond your rare. I'm glad we get to keep you. And it's really fun to see. Are you still in the newspaper building? Are you still in that same spot?
Yes, we are in the same
But you're
spot,
taking up more footprint in there, right?
Yeah. So we have our usual space, and then we now have we use like cubicles to store stuff. So we're constantly taking over more of them, and we're trying to get a bigger, more commercial fridge, because right now we're just using 4 regular refrigerators, which is just very limited space. So yeah, we're working on getting a bigger fridge, and we're adding more. We have more freezers now, so we're slowly taking over, but hopefully soon we'll have a bigger space where we can have more of
Christy Athens,
storefront
been there. I've
yeah,
seen it.
you guys understand.
I visited both of you within, I don't know, 3 months of each other, and you were both sort of, in a little corner. I mean, Christy, you had your whole garage, but your equipment, and now you have all this new equipment that I imagine is so much more fun and easier to use and more efficient to use. And you guys, Sarah, had almost nothing. It was a couple of 8-foot tables and 1 fridge or something. It was really tiny. So it's amazing that you've gotten more, and you've busted out of all of them. So congratulations. It looks like Kristen Miller left. We have at least one other hub on here. Jasmine, do you want to go next?
Oh gosh, I think I said enough last month, but
how about if you did, you kind of did the whole thing.
I did it.
But maybe if you could do a fast, this was the thing that I was really excited about, and this is the thing that I'm really excited to take on next year.
Yeah, so that is the kitchen funding was awesome. You know, when you apply for only 2 rounds of funding and you get both of them, that's 100% success rate. So that's great. And then next year, I'm excited to see the kitchen really come together. I mean, the hood fan is installed and that was really amazing to watch, but we haven't actually purchased the rest of the equipment and it hasn't, it's not operational yet. So I'm excited to get the kitchen operational and then also expand our retail square footage. Really excited about that. And I've got a great team of volunteers to make the first stage of that happen. So yeah, and like always, thanks everyone for all your participation and for just being here. And this community is, you guys are all just rock stars. So thanks.
It's pretty amazing. I look forward to coming and seeing your built out kitchen when it's built.
Yes, come see us, Sydney. That would be so much fun.
I want to. I need to get. I haven't been to the coast in a while. I need to come see Jim. I need to go up to Food Web. I need to go up to Food Roots. It's been a minute. I think it's been a couple years since I've made my way out your direction. Willie, are you there? Willie's phone's here. Who else? Kristen. You want to share what you've
Yes.
been up to? Oh, we got Willie. He showed up for us.
Well, yeah, I've been listening, and let me see if I can put my camera on so they don't have to go to the post office and see me on the wall. They can see me right here.
There you are. It's been a minute since I've seen you. I
Yeah,
thought you were mad at me.
no, I've been overwhelmed the last month or
Oh.
two, but I've enjoyed hearing a lot of the food hub's progress. It really, okay, I remember 6 months, a year ago, or 2 years ago, but hearing that, I've been inundated personally out here in Rockwood with our food hub and such, just with the state conversation of the Oregon Business Council, and what we've been talking about with food and beverage and some of the conversations surrounding food hubs and such. But just there's too much to even say. Just sitting, getting ready for our project here in Rockwood and such. We finally made some progress with the purchasing of the property. The
Oh,
Sunrise Center.
congratulations. Yeah.
It's been
It's a
a
big
couple of
deal.
years behind schedule, but we got that. And just moving forward with that. And couple of minutes, I have a phone call with Sherry Cole from
Oh,
Oregon State and such.
tell her
So
hi from me.
I will, but yeah, Oregon is in a good place. We're in a good place, but I think something you said that really resonated with me, that going into 2025, I think we do need to diversify. We do, and we need to diversify. If we're 100% 501c3 or nonprofit, we need to find a way to bring at least 25% of our revenue streams into a for-profit model. So as we go into these kinds of seasons, we have revenue that will sustain us until if we're 100% nonprofit, because things are drying up, but there are some opportunities going into 2025 in the next 4 years there's a whole lot of opportunities for us in the food ecology and economy. There is. So, but I agree. When I heard you talk about, or different people talk about possible revenue streams drying up, or yeah, let's look at that. Let's talk about some of that and get ready for uh, the opportunities on the other side, and not just 100% federal, nonprofit, or philanthropic. But it's good to hear a lot of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think we really need to start, Carrie, you have a question in there and I don't have an answer for you. And I think that's probably going to be individual per organization. But I think, and Christy's response was 100%. I think as we're looking at our programs and our activities, or in the words of the immortal Lauren Gwynn, our nouns and our verbs, we need to understand what those nouns and verbs are, what they're doing, and what they're costing us, so that we can figure out how to balance, for those of you who are nonprofits who are doing a bunch of programmatic activities and also running an online marketplace or something else, looking at the places like, where can we achieve revenue that is for the service that we're providing. We always need to be thinking of that revenue against what does it take to provide this service, and who's going to pay that. So if it's a programmatic activity, that might be something that is a nonprofit activity that you get a grant to go out and do this educational activity that also involves, moving some food around. But if you're selling a product, then we probably need to make sure that we're selling that product at enough of a profit to sustain that activity. And I
Yes.
think for some of our organizations, we've had a little bit more runway to not think as hard about some of those details, and now it's becoming painful. So we'll work on that. We're going to work on that a lot this year. You're going to get tired of me. Willie, thanks for sharing. I'm glad to hear that you guys got the property. That's a pretty big change. So congratulations on that.
Yep.
Kristen, I think that's Kristen Penner.
Yes, it's me. Sydney, we will never get tired of you.
Oh, yes, you will.
Yes, Kristen Penner. I'm working as a value chain coordinator, as most of you know, on mostly coastal projects, but also looking at the intersections between all of our regions around the state, and how food can more efficiently flow. And I really appreciate everything that you just said, Willie. I feel like that is definitely like where our minds are with the Oregon Ocean Cluster and our work, and the work that we're doing with partners. This past year, I know that also Erin and I gave a presentation about the region to region distribution cohort, but that was a big win, I think, for this past year. Just kind of really strengthening some of the relationships between hubs and people who are moving food around the state. I'm really excited to see what a phase 2 of that could look like, and sort of expanding that work this coming year. So stay tuned. I also, it's been really great. I've gotten to work really closely with the Central Coast Food Web team. Some of the infrastructure that Jim mentioned is paid for through a state legislative money that was allocated to the Oregon Coast Visitors Association. So that is super exciting to see those dollars like being transformed into more usable space for our producers. Super stoked about that. We have we have some other fun projects that'll be coming, including like being able to place freezers in various food hubs and retail places around the state to house local proteins and get more fish out to Oregon. Yeah, I think I'm really excited about what these new revenue generating models could look like. 100% to everything everyone said, but I'm also excited about a concept called 100% fish, which is really looking at like what does wiser use of our ocean resources look like? Not just 100% fish, like using all of the parts of the fish for all kinds of value-added products, including like turning fish skins into pet treats and fish leather that can be used just like cowhide leather in a lot of really cool ways. But looking at other ways that we could just kind of see what we already have and reimagine and build the infrastructure to do more with parts that are actually costing us disposal fees right now. Dealing with how do we get rid of the waste, but turning it into valuable products is really exciting. We are working and will be working with the Iceland Ocean Cluster, who is an organization based in Reykjavik. We actually have a presentation that I'll send out to this group in case anybody wants to chime in and hear kind of what is happening in other parts of the world. That's tomorrow morning, but it'll be recorded so we can share out. But yeah, I think one of the opportunities that they've brought to us is a partnership with Duke University's School of Business. So for the next 12 weeks, we will be meeting with a group of 5 MBA students to look at a sustainability model for the ocean cluster. But I'm hoping that we get a lot of really great ideas from that we can share back out with this group on how do we keep all of this good work going. So yeah, I'll stop there, but just appreciate you all so much.
Thanks, Kristen. Kristen, I'm totally stoked about the whole fish projects that you're working on. And I mean, I'm stoked about all of it. I'm stoked that I can actually buy in Central Oregon tuna from the Oregon coast because of all of this collaboration that has occurred. I have some in my drawer right now. It's really exciting. And I also, like Sarah, I am able to get Stamboom meats from the gorge through Central Oregon. So there's just so many connections that have been built in this network. It's pretty cool. Jude, I think you might, Jude and Caitlin Seffred are the 2 that have not spoken yet. Would you like to speak?
Sure. Thanks for
Sure.
thanks for having me. I'm over here in Vancouver, the other part of the food shed.
Yeah, but we welcome you. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I just was, we've been working with sort of a new reimagined organization, Farm and Food Justice Network. And we partly got coherent because of the policy issues here and joined the Environmental Justice Coalition. But one of the things that we've been doing is regrouping on what's been happening. So for the last 4 years, without any support other than food purchasing money. So last year, the Mercado processed $350,000 worth of food. So food boxes and then fresh market during the season from local and regional farms. And it's an all volunteer effort. So it's like we don't have a food hub per se on that scale, even though we have visions for one, because there's a lot of things we could do to make that whole thing easier. But I think that's just, a major when I saw the numbers, I was like $350,000 worth of food to people who don't get it otherwise, because the food bank doesn't serve them, and there's just no food assistance for immigrants and migrants and folks that just for whatever reason really don't have other access. So it's going to families and 8 community groups, and it's just a really kind of inspiring. And as I said, I'll volunteer. And I think it's a really good example of what we might think of into the future as, so I was just in a conversation around solidarity economy and cooperatives. And I think Mercado is more like a mutual aid level thing that's going on. It does require money because food isn't free. But there's some kind of grassroots level collaborative partnering that could be strengthened beyond what we're thinking about in terms of our capitalist context that could take us.
So what's the group, Jude? Is it Mercado?
Yeah. It's just a Spanish word for market.
Yeah, but it's a group in Southwest Washington, right?
Yeah, it's not
I'm asking because there's El Mercado in Portland, and I'm trying to make sure that that I understand correctly that it's a distinct group.
Yeah, it's very different. It's had different fiscal sponsors.
Oh,
so
that's really cool. That's an enormous amount of food, and I know I'm just going to repeat this whole. We don't care about what the term food hub means as defined by the USDA. We care what you're doing, and that's pretty food hubby activity, and it's pretty incredible.
Right. Well, they operate out, outside of a church on Saturdays, Fridays, and every other week. And of course, got into the whole food box thing with Feeding America, but have been able to keep that together. So East West Food Rescue has been a sponsor, and local Latin run organizations have sponsored. And so we're looking for a little more stability and some infrastructure, like a refrigerated truck. Oh my goodness. All the things that any food hub, whatever you call it, need.
Yep. That's really great. I mean, so many of these orgs started in not so different of a spot. So I know it's possible to grow from there to wherever it wants to go. But it really, $350,000 worth of food is not a small amount. I don't know exactly where everybody is with their sales or the volume of food they're moving, but I think that's on par or larger with as a number of the food hubs that participate in this call. So I think it's a significant activity. Congrats. Caitlin.
Thanks. As you know, I don't represent a food hub currently, but I'm happy to have an excuse to be on these calls. I have been helping coordinate some support for food hub staff over the past year under the advisement of Sydney. And we'll be continuing that work. We're actually having, if you want to stay on Zoom more this afternoon, we're having our final meeting of the year this afternoon, which will be a conversation and training about good communication techniques, which could be useful for any person alive. So welcome you all to that if you can manage it. But yeah, you can look out for more emails in the new year about where this program is headed as well. So thanks, Sydney. It's been a great year. We've learned a lot about how to help staff people. So yeah, turn it back to you, Sydney.
And we totally love having you participate. Well, that is all I had scheduled for this call. We do have something that I should tell you about that's coming up, which I think is January 20th, but I'll send it when I send out the notes and let you know, and then you'll get a billion reminders too. I have set up a call with Sarah Massoni from the Food Innovation Center Many of you know her already, and she will be making herself available. She'll share what the Food Innovation Center does, what services it offers, how you can access those services, and then have a Q&A session. For those of you who work with packaged food makers, or have packaged food makers in your shared kitchens, or are a packaged food maker, I think that's a call you'll want to try and get onto. We'll also record it, like always, in transcript and all the stuff. So if you can't make it, you'll still be able to gather the information. But it's a pretty great opportunity to have a moment to be with Sarah Masoni and get her brain, which is a pretty amazing brain. She's one of those people, she's a food scientist, if you don't know her. And she's one of those people that when you go out to eat with her, you have a completely different experience consuming food with this person, because how she looks at it is completely different than anyone else. So it's really fun. She's really fun. So I highly recommend joining that call if you're working with those folks, or you are one of those folks yourself, or if you have some interest in learning a little bit more about what collaborations between Food Innovation Center and to work with partners to produce institutional scale food. So that's coming up. Is there any questions for me? Very last time of the year. I see Erin's mouth moving, but I didn't hear her.
You want to give us update on the big Colorado thing?
The big Colorado thing, the Regional Food Business Center. Tanya's on this call. She's probably laughing with me too. The Regional Food Business Center, for those of you who don't know, who haven't seen too much about it, or have only seen it in emails, is a six-state collaboration. It's federally funded. And it's working on sort of 4 different subject areas in the 6 different states. One of those subject areas is right size investment in infrastructure. One of them is expanding, like, I forget the exact words, but it's expanding meat processing capacity in our 6-state region. One of them is creating resilient markets, which is mostly looking at grains and legumes. And the other of which is scaling food entrepreneurs, which is mostly directed towards packaged good providers. So if you haven't, engaged with that, please do. When will the business grants turn to Oregon? Yes, I'll get into that a little bit. And actually, Tanya, you might have a better answer than I do. So the way our Regional Food Business Center is doing those business builder grants, which many of you have heard about and Erin was asking about, we are doing a one size does not fit all approach, which is both wonderful and terrible, because it makes, it's wonderful because there's more opportunities to access those grants, and they're more directed in a way than some of the other states. Like if you've seen, some of the Eastern Regional Food Business Centers have put theirs out, and they're kind of at this statewide level, and it's sort of one big dump of, these are our grants, here you go. Our Regional Food Business Center is allowing each state to direct a pool of grants, and each theme to direct a pool of grants. So Tanya, if you're able to come off mute and let folks know the timing of the Oregon grants, that would be helpful. I can tell you the timing of the right size investment and infrastructure grants will be in fall of 2026. We'll see those, but Oregon is before fall. So those are the 2 that I know the most about. Scaling food entrepreneurs, I think, is open now. Diverse markets is not. Is that the update you were looking for? I just started talking and I lost track of myself, Christy. Did I answer the question you wanted answered?
Yeah, just what's the latest? Also, do you have an update on the OCFSN grants?
Yes, those are February. So I believe they have just hired our contractor to manage that process. And so those will open in February. Shin and I are working on the last bit of updates to the program and who's eligible, and how, how that eligibility is going to work. But that's a much smaller pool than it was last year, just to throw that out. We did the big push last year. We are advocating with the legislature again to try and renew that funding and continue on. Other things that the network is doing, I don't think we've ever really talked about at our network level, that both, Caitlin has been running that project of, assessing what program staff need and what our network needs in terms of these sort of training and skill building resources. We've also been, running a program with Tracy Harding with the for-profit hubs on doing an assessment and understanding what those folks need and trying to invest in bringing, everyone's business acumen up so that our for-profit hubs can share what they learn with all of you so that we can start really getting ourselves more financially resilient as a network. And those programs will continue in some form in 2026. I'm having trouble. 2025, sorry, 2025, right? We're in 2024 right now. I just did budgeting for my part of the RFB, the Regional Food Business Center. So I've been thinking in different years. So we will run those programs in some form after these assessments come in through at least one more year. And then we are also looking at, with some of the legislature money that we got last time, continuing on this trade network activity that Kristen and Aaron spearheaded. Questions? Do you all want your 20 minutes back? Do we want to talk amongst ourselves?
There was one
Christy,
way back.
oh, was there a question? Did I miss one in here?
Trying to remember. There was a lot of chat.
I know, I sort of love this group because I can't keep up with the chat at all, which tells me that it's interested and engaged. I'll send out the articles.
About the Farm Direct thing. That was it. Since we're all here.
Geez, the Farm Direct thing.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I just don't have answers for you, Christy. Like, I want to have answers.
It sounds like Lindsay. Oh, Lindsay's off though. Shoot. Okay.
Lindsay's off. Yeah, it sounds like we need to get Lindsay to talk about what she's learned and see if we have some answers there. And then didn't Amy direct us to someone else who you didn't have the email for because the original person?
No.
Okay.
Didn't do anything useful. But I did talk to one of my producers in Baker, and she has talked to, there's a new inspector, it doesn't matter, in Southeast Oregon, and she's talked to that inspector, and that inspector gave her some info because my producer has her own farm stand in Baker. She said she was going to forward the email, but she hasn't done that. So yeah, it sounds like I can carry bread that was baked in somebody's home as long as there's a label on it. But the big question was, the ODA question, Carrie, is with the new Farm Direct, they passed the new Farm Direct law, and there were some obvious changes, like the ceiling for how much you can earn a year went up. There were some other things that were just pretty straightforward, but then there was this weird third-party thing. You can have third-party sales all of a sudden. And so I've been trying to find out ever since that came out what exactly that means. And they didn't know at first, of course, because they had to write the rules about it. They, that's not unusual. And so that's fine. But then the person I tried to find out from in the spring, I started to try to find out from again a few weeks ago. No response, no response, no response. So I kicked it up to Amy. Amy said, oh, she hasn't been here in months. I'm like, oh, how about an auto reply on her email? That's a great idea. But anyway, Amy, understandably it's not her area, but also just said they want us to have relationships with our inspectors. And I responded saying, you know, that's great, but you know, our experience as a group has been that our inspectors give different answers. And she said, yep, carry on, basically. So I
Yeah.
haven't, Byron. So anyway, I'm still
That's a
trying to
good
figure it
idea,
out.
Carrie, about contacting Alice. I'll contact Alice and see if she's got maybe the right connection, because I think, Christy, you're right that what we probably need to do is see if we can get someone to join us and answer some of the questions. I'm assuming that other folks have had some struggles with the new rules of the cottage law. If because you're not the only one who's interested in carrying some of these products. Caitlin, I know you were like deep in the weeds of it at some point in your life, but you're not now, and the law has changed.
Well, and Jasmine just made the point, you know, that that's what the rule says, is you have to put them in a different display. I don't have a store. I have
Right.
I have a website. And so that's my main question is, does that disqualify me? Do I have, you know, can I put it in the product description? There are plenty of people out here that don't play by the rules, and I do, and I kind of pride myself on that. And so it irks me when I can't find out what the rules are so that I can play by them. I am currently carrying 3 different vendors of things that I think fall under this. And so I just have a little thing in the description that says this was baked in a home kitchen that was not inspected, whatever. And then they're supposed to have the label on their product. Also, I have it on one. I have to get after the other 2, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I just, yeah, I just want to know what the rules are so that I can either follow or break them.
Hey, Christy,
Yeah.
I was a home baker under
Uh-huh.
the cottage law for the last 2 years.
Uh-huh.
So I have that wording if you want it.
Oh yeah, no, it's in the statute.
Okay.
That's the easy part. The hard part is, can I carry tea? Can I carry pickles? What can I carry? You know, can I do sweetbreads or just regular breads? I just and I have not approached so then that happened in a very busy, last week was very busy, and so I have not yet reached out to my own inspector, which I do need to do, but I just got annoyed. But so I thought, since we were all together, it might be
Is anyone else selling cottage products as
Jasmine is,
food hub?
she
Jasmine is,
says,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I
North
can
Coast
just
Food Lab.
speak to what Barb Kripe, our inspector, she said third party is online and third party is our consignment retail shop. And for me, I just needed a separate shelf that was marked. And she even gave us some grace on the storage on site. So like it's kind of
Right,
states
because they're supposed to
like,
pick it up at the end of the day.
yeah,
But
which
so
is
you can
completely
only
silly.
sell,
Yeah.
sorry, you only sell consignment, or do you buy inventory?
I sell mostly consignment, like, you know, 80% of our things in store are consignment, 20% are wholesale, but none of these products would ever be considered a wholesale item. They would only be sold on consignment. So
Yeah, whoops, okay.
yeah, and then I talked to the North Coast Food Web during this process, and they were, you know, their online sales, and they spoke to their inspector and got approved as well. So I think you're good, Christy, but definitely reach out to your inspector.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't do consignment. Ah,
we went through a lot of this with ODA with Food Roots, and one of the things that we were told was that as a third-party organizer, especially if you have a retail license, like conflating those 2 things and having your sales avenues be the same is a problem. We were supposed to make separate like sections of our website for those. And then we were supposed to not be consigning product at all as like a retail store.
Huh, okay, so they want it in a separate section on your website.
Yeah, for online ordering, like they wanted a whole
Okay.
separate area
Like a
for a
separate
third-party
subsection.
organizer.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. I could do that. What was the second thing about conflating what?
So like mixing your retail and your third-party organizer sales is a problem both physically and with the ordering process. And retail sales are not allowed to happen on consignment per ODA.
Okay, but I don't consign, so that's not an issue for me. Right? Okay. Thank you for adding that.
Yeah, the consignment, I think Food Roots, are you the only one? Caitlin, Food Web isn't still consigning, are they?
I'm not qualified to answer that
I
question.
don't know why I ask you those questions.
Unfortunately, I'm unsure. I'm unsure, so I
Okay.
don't want to say. Yeah.
I think it's possible that Food Roots is the only org that participates in this call that does a ton of consignment. Jasmine, it sounds like, does a little bit because it became so difficult. I remember when Food Web was going through it, was like, actually, this is not worth. You know, we just sort of need our producers to be big enough that they're able to sell into these markets. And then this set of rules change, which now that sort of opened up the avenue for Christie, but has created maybe a whole other set of problems.
Yeah, well,
ODA, God love you.
God love you, ODA. Yeah, so I will reach out to my inspector, and if I learn anything meaningful, I'll let everybody know.
Will you share? Yeah. Sorry, that's a struggle. I wish
I'm just
selling
desperate
things
for
was
baked
easier.
goods. I don't have a baker in my vicinity, and yeah, it's mainly just it would make my life so much easier if I didn't have to get bread from Tri-Cities, which is 200 miles away. 200 miles away.
Not that
Ridiculous.
close. All right, you guys. I guess I'll see you in the new year. I can't believe that.
Well, thanks for holding these, and it's been amazing here. Thanks for all of your support.
Thanks to all of you for
Everybody.
being fantastic participators. When I talk about when I share with other folks outside of our state that how participatory and how engaged this network is, people are truly jealous that we have this level of collaboration, and that is every single one of you. So I have nothing but gratitude for the folks that I get to work with and get to know through this network. So thank you for participating. Thanks for bringing your problems and your pleasures to this group. It's really a fun group. See y'all.